Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Survivor 45 episode 12 reaction and review. Now, a little earlier this season, when Bruce was voted out, we had to do a wellness check on Jess here. Now that Drew has been voted out, let's do another wellness check on Jess. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Bye, Drew. Listen, this episode, just continued to push this narrative. And again, there's some of it's editing, some of it's Drew. It's
Yeah.
all like a mixed bag here, but he came across on this episode just kind of like a crybaby. It's like being at this beautiful party that's being thrown for you, this really special event, and you're like, I didn't get the cake I want, man. Listening to him sitting on the beach complaining to Jake, who's just like, we're on Survivor, man. I was like, that is like what
Yeah.
is running through my head too. You're like, oh man, I was never picked. I didn't get picked to go to any of the rewards. It's like, you just won the immunity.
Yeah.
You just went on a reward that you won yourself, which should feel even better. You
Yeah.
earned that. Good for you. And then the next week, oh, nobody's picking me to go, blah, blah. It's like, you're on Survivor. Stop it. There's so many people out there that would absolutely just love the opportunity to be on the show. And I'm not saying that you don't appreciate it, but the idea that you would be standing on Survivor Beach complaining about anything, I'm just like, stop. So by the time he went home tonight, I was like, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry, but not sorry.
I couldn't agree more with a lot of that. I was thinking, listen, I have wanted to like Drew for a lot of this season as a fellow bespectacled, tall nerd. I wanted to be in his corner. He made it so difficult with how
Oh my
much
God.
he talked up his own game in confessionals. And I'm okay with a little bit with you wanting to be a little bit of a character and a big personality. I get it, you're on TV, all that sort of stuff, but it's not reflecting in your behavior all the time. Just like him throwing part of the pot when he got back to camp.
Yeah, what a baby. Stop this. It's that
Yeah,
behavior is just so ridiculous. And I understand wanting to be a character
yeah,
or even wanting to be like a quote TV villain. And I don't necessarily think that he went on being like, that's what he's going to be. But
yeah,
from the very first time we met up with him, he came across really arrogant. Then he started to smooth out a little bit for
yeah.
me. But then, it just came raging back where, he was really rude about Bruce playing an imaginary game. Like, who are you to say?
Yeah.
It just got weirder and testier and stranger and just I'm really glad that he's not on the show anymore.
I
I wish you all the best in life though, Drew.
I feel like it's really similar to what just happened on Big Brother, where it's like with somebody who gets in power and they feel like they have everything under control. It's just they let this power get to their head and it just blows up and blows up and blows up. And it's just like it's not fun to watch you anymore. And it's just like, Drew, it wasn't fun to watch you anymore. This is your time. I will talk more about the game, but I will say this. I hope you look back at this, you humble yourself a little bit and you're like, you know what? Maybe I should have acted differently. Maybe I should have acted even differently when I was leaving because I was over here just laughing at how mad he was. And I understand I would be mad too if I was
Yeah.
blindsided right before the finale. But because of the way he talked it up, I was laughing. It was so funny. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm a bad person. Lightning is going to strike me at this point in the video.
Listen, even if he doesn't leave the game and learn anything from it, and
Yeah.
he's just like, I'm going to dive headfirst into being a reality TV villain, I'll respect that. That'll be fine. There's lots of TV villains that go on to have kind of great careers after that as
Yeah.
reality TV villain personalities. So, embrace it or learn from it. I'm very excited to see where it goes for him post the show. But before we get
Mhm.
too much further into it, the finale coming up next
Yes.
Wednesday. So hit that subscribe button. We will have a video up right after that finale to be talking with you guys about who won. D Probably D. Come on, she's playing such a good game,
Yeah,
right? But by hitting that subscribe button, you'll be able to like get notification that we are doing that
yeah.
video. You'll have a reminder, helps support us here at the channel, and we truly appreciate it.
Also, on Monday, we are doing a live stream on our Patreon that is a Survivor 45 finale preview. We are
Yep.
going to talk all about this crazy, crazy season and what I hope is going to be a really awesome finale. And we love getting your guys' feedback in real time. So be sure to join our Patreon. And thank you so much to
Thank you.
everyone who has. We really appreciate it.
Okay, who do you think is winning? I just said I
Yeah,
think it's D. I think she's played the best game.
I don't. I don't think there's any way I can't say D. It's like it has to be D. Like this.
I am curious
Yeah.
though now, like Austin told D everything in the last episode. D did not tell Austin everything back. She denied ever telling Julie anything. Like she just, died on that hill. And
Yeah.
they believed her. And then we get to this blindside where Austin is starting to get really nervous at that tribal when Dee's just like, alliances might not be as locked in as people think they are. And you saw it all over Austin's face, like
Yeah.
all the blood drained out of his body. Like he was just like, oh no, she's going to get rid of me. And he plays his idol on
Yeah.
himself. I mean, did anybody out there think that maybe he was going to play it on Drew? I didn't. I thought he was going to play it on himself.
I thought for a split second he might. I thought it might be something that happened because maybe they had a further conversation off screen about what the plan was to get rid of Drew and how everything was kind of coming to a head with this. And like, there's
Yeah.
a part of me that was like, maybe she told him and ultimately he still decided to do this anyway, but I don't think so. It's just, it would be really weird for him to either not save Drew at that point or also still even vote the way that because Drew's not going to care. It's like, oh, you knew I was going and you still cast this other vote anyway. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, this is the thing is I think that after this and Dee saying what she did at Tribal and the way that it all played out, that now Austin's eyes are open. And while he still has on love goggles, nobody's
Yeah.
going to pretend like he doesn't. And he probably will still ride to the end with her. I think that this is very telling for him. Like, could he make a move against her at this point? Because he knows what her resume is as well. Like,
Yeah.
I feel personally, anybody that's sitting against her at the end loses.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. I feel like this is an awesome move by D. I will say that, yes, I agree with you that it is a risky move when it comes to Austin and what's Austin going to do. But I'm going to make an unlikely comparison here that D is going to start talking some llama because she's Tony, because Tony is so good at this. He will, blindside one of his allies, make a move without them knowing, but then he would find a way to get them back on or at least convince them that you can still work with them. If D can find a way to do this after the fact, like I will be so incredibly impressed. Like I'm already just like over the moon impressed with her game. The fact that Jake in this episode goes to Katura and it's just like, I got this plan, but it's got to be secret. We can't tell D. And immediately Katura goes and tells D. D has everyone wrapped around her finger. It is so impressive.
It's so impressive. Okay, let's talk about your boy Jake.
Jake, my guy.
He's not winning the game, but I absolutely love him. I love that he really is trying. He doesn't want to be just one of the sheep and going forward, doing what everybody wants. He's tried it before. He's ready to try it again. He's got an idol. I was just like, good for you. Like, even when you feel like you're at the bottom, Jake, he's still like so scrappy, trying to figure out a way to make it happen for him and a way to build his resume. He doesn't want to be like, the stooge that's brought to the end that won nothing, did nothing. That's just like an easy person to beat. He's like, no, I'm not going to let that happen. I am going to try to make a move. And unfortunately, it was the same move that D was already planning. So it's kind of like, who gets the credit for it? Probably D.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. Jake's trying.
This is where I will submit to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury the idea that is Jake one of the most unlucky Survivor players of all time. Let's go through the
10 out
evidence
of
here.
10.
He gets put on a tribe with Bruce and Katura, who almost immediately don't like each other. So he's already put on a dysfunctional tribe.
Don't talk crap about Bruce.
I'm not talking.
No,
I'm just stating reality here. We can't go back in time and change that relationship. But he is put on the island of dysfunction with this Bellow tribe.
Yeah.
He does his best to navigate a lot of scenarios. Things don't go well for him. He, ultimately, because of what happens when it comes to hiding the information about Bruce's idol, he doesn't have the full trust of Katura. That's like the one thing that I can point to where it's like, okay, Jake, there's something that you yourself could have done a little bit differently. But he gets put in these difficult spots against the numbers. He's playing some really good players who just continue to vote with their own self-interest the majority of the time. And even as you outlined it, even on the episode where Jake thinks that he's got it all figured out and thinks that, okay, Katura, it doesn't benefit you to go and tell this to D, she still does anyway. And ultimately, he's probably not going to get credit for this move, even though he tried so hard to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it feels like both of them do deserve credit because D was also, they just didn't know that they were both making the same move. But yeah, I think Jake is not going to get the credit that he deserves for trying to make this move. I mean, even if it doesn't work out like the movie tried to make before, where it's like, I'm basically making this move again. It's like, I got to give credit to someone who's really trying and trying to make moves and trying to plan things. Like, he makes it exciting to watch.
Yeah, I hope that Jake gets brought back for another season. And I am not Mr. Give me returning player seasons all the time. I don't like it when people are too self-aware. It creates problems. But I do really appreciate the way he's playing. I will give one bit of advice here to Jake. Stop talking about your underwear. I got it at least within 2 seconds that you're in your underwear. And then he continues to go, oh, I've been in the underwear in front of a play before. And it's Survivor confessional people. We heard one of you talking in this episode today. Could you have spoken up in the midst of the underwear story and been like, okay, Jake, you know what? We have enough footage. Let's call it a day. Thank you very much. Go back to camp.
I was wondering with this episode if they're just really into this Dee and Austin love story that they just so badly want a long-lasting showmance type story that they were building up to this betrayal that happened at Tribal, or they didn't have enough for this episode to be 90 minutes long. There was so much about their relationship, and we already had a bunch about their relationship in the last episode too. That was like, I feel like I'm getting kind of a repeat because this is only like a day later. Like, how much more did their relationship expand in 24 hours that I needed to have this much more about their relationship?
Okay, this is what I will say about Dee and Austin. I hope you guys find a way to make it work.
Oh,
I don't know.
Hope so.
I don't know if you're together or not on the outside world, but I do really like them. I do really want to root for them. I do not need to see that much romance on Survivor. I mean, I say this as somebody who was cheering hard for Matt and Franny, and so like
I'm glad you called yourself out because I was about to call that out.
Hey, I admit that I am a hypocrite, and I think that is the most important thing that any hypocrite can do is own their hypocrisy. And I really like these two. I think maybe it's just because we had a Survivor romance story so recently that I'm a little bit more burned out on it. But the thing that drove me just like the tiniest bit crazy in this episode, and I'm sure it probably happened and we just didn't see it because Dee won immunity and Austin had that immunity idol, but the moment that Austin immediately was like, oh, I'm taking D to this reward, shouldn't everybody just be like, we need to split up Austin and D. They're a showmance, they're strong, they're threatening, they've won challenges, they've got idols, blah, 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 blah. It's like, where's that conversation?
It's not there because D has everybody on lock. Because I think that conversation probably happened in the last episode with Julie, where she was kind of like, maybe I'll throw this on Austin, it's possible sort of thing. But it didn't happen. And it's likely because D was like, if you do that, I will burn you to the ground. Like, I'm coming to you with this information, but then you can't come around and then burn Austin. So I think that that's what's happening is Dee is running this game just
Yep.
beautifully. Everybody respects her. Everybody likes her. Nobody wants to rock the boat with her, and she's protecting Austin. So no one's touching Austin.
I gotta mention my favorite moment of the episode now, since you
It's
brought
not
up
Jake in
Julie.
his underwear.
No, it is.
It's
I
not
know.
Drew throwing a pot in a tantrum.
I know it's very surprising to everybody that it is neither one of those things. As happy as I was for Jake, because now Jake is pretty much safe until the final four. Good for you, Jake. Hashtag Team Jake. You're probably still not winning, but you know what? We can still root for you. It is Julie. Remember the good old days? They're just like straight up yelling that at those three. It killed me. I loved it so much. It was insane. I don't know why she did it. Like, there's nothing appealing that comes from walking up to three people in the middle of a conversation and just being, remember the good old day? Like, could you imagine?
I loved it.
If you were at a restaurant with a couple other people and I walked up behind all of you and was like, remember the good, like everybody would spill their wine.
And she like threw herself in Drew's lap. Remember the good old days? Julie giving 0 Fs, just being like, I know you guys all just voted for me, but let's go. I love her. I love her.
I did not expect to love her so much. I will be honest, because entering this season, a lot of the archetype that we get from her, the Southern woman who's a mom. I feel like, okay, we've seen a lot of these characters on this show before, and this is a real testament to don't judge somebody based on just like your preconceived notions, because I am happy that she has turned out to be such an interesting player, a character, somebody who is fighting very, very hard in order to survive it. Like, she's done, even though she hasn't, even with the immunity challenges that she hasn't won, like she's been close in several of them. Like, she has fought all season long, and to me, I don't know if this would even happen, but she's the only person who I think has a chance of beating Dee if they're in the end together.
Maybe. I think that there's some people who are a bit sour on the jury towards Julie that I don't think will end up getting her vote. But if she was able to maybe sway them around in a speech, maybe. But I think there's some saltiness going on there.
I think it would be closer, but yeah, I think Dee
closer.
would probably still win. I just don't think, how is anybody going to have a case really against her at this point? Because if we're just look at the entirety of the players left here, because Katura, we have questioned some of her moves this season. Like, I do like her as a person, but it's just, I don't know if she's going to get a vote right now. I can't really sit here and say, okay, she has made some moves, but how much have some of them really benefited her own game long term? Like, I'm just not really sure.
Yeah, I don't think that she does get votes.
And maybe Jake, because he's an attorney, he goes up there, delivers a rousing speech, gets everybody excited, and then he gets 2 votes on the other side of it, and then that's basically it.
It's going to be tough.
I don't think Austin gets any votes. Is that crazy to say?
I think it depends who he's sitting there with. I mean, if he's sitting there with like a Jake or Katura, I mean, he wins. But like if Dee is there, I think it's a sweep.
Is Drew going to be like, and we don't know, obviously, who's going to get voted out next, and there's a couple more tribal councils to come, but is Drew going to accuse Austin of knowing about this somehow? Like, is that going to be some sort of thing? But at the same time, Austin didn't seem that he knew about it, so is Drew just going to buy into all of that?
I don't think Drew's going to think Austin knew about it, because Austin clearly, when he played it on himself, I mean, he was scared for himself at that point. So I think that Drew saw that.
Here's the last thing I really have about this episode, and this surprised even me, because I was thinking a lot about it. Is there ever a reward that I would willingly want to go on? Because I have said time and time again, don't take me on these things. I do not want to target. I don't want people mad.
I know, but did you see all that cheese?
That's the thing.
That cheese.
This is the closest Austin got to having a sandwich this season. I will point that out right now. No, the cheese was awesome. The island setting looked really, really cool. Like
that barrel rolling thing, though, man, I was just like, this is a broken leg waiting to happen. Like this is one of the first challenges I was actually just watching this, like gritting my teeth, being like, if somebody falls off this, their leg is broken. They're done.
Yeah, I would not actively try to win this, possibly because number one, I would lose it anyway. I have terrible balance, I have cerebral palsy. Number two, I would put a target on my back, but if somebody wants to take me. See, I'm thinking about the beach. I'm not even talking clearly anymore, but that location was so
It
beautiful.
was.
This would be something the experience of it would be so great that it would overcome anything else that's going on in my head.
Okay, let's talk about Austin's choice to take Katura over somebody else.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the right choice? Because when he was starting to talk and he was just like, I don't want, basically people to go back to camp and then like things change. I thought he was going to take Julie with him to be like, you know what? I just need to watch her. She's going to come and have some cheese, and I'm going to make sure that she's doing nothing. And that way I know what's going on because Drew will be back there having my back. That's what I thought was going to happen. And then when he picked Katura, I was just like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it probably would have been the right move to take Julie because then you're eliminating the possibility that Julie's out there looking for an idol.
Yes.
And you're still going to have Drew. So Drew can still watch the other people if you need like a quote unquote babysitter to go and do something like that. I mean, obviously, nothing seemed to work all that well because Underwear Jake was still able to find an immunity idol without anyone seeing him. But
Yep.
it just feels like
I like how he's Underwear Jake now.
for this episode,
Oh,
he will
Jake.
be Underwear Jake. I am hoping that I will forget about this and it will not be Underwear Jake moving forward. But then again, I called for Spoot Danny long after the merge. So I'm sorry in advance, Jake, if you just become Underwear Jake. Luckily for you, we are almost at the finale. But yeah, I wouldn't have taken Katura, but ultimately, this was a really fun episode. I mean, it was a long time coming for Drew. He got way too comfortable in the game. We thought way too far ahead, and this was an avoidable blindside if he played better, and he didn't play well enough. And I think maybe that's a part of why he's so mad. He's just so mad at himself because he let his head and played all the way, and then D just went up and just went boop with the needle.
Yeah, I think for him, I believed him when he was like, if I can get past this tribal, I see a clear path to winning. I think he really believed that he could beat the people that were left and that he could really see it. And because he had that kind of confidence that he was going to make it to the end and he could see that clear path, that this really, took the air out of him, that it was just like, oh my goodness, I needed to just get past this one last thing. We would have gotten Julie out and I would have been able to take this.
Well, we're going to see who will take this.
D.
We can try to create as much drama here as possible. It's all about now, can D make it there and stick the landing?
Unless Austin takes a shot next episode. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. But if he did,
Ruggles.
It would be awesome. Like I would have so much respect. You're playing to win. D is clearly playing to win. It's like
yes, and she should.
Yeah. Well, hit that subscribe button. As we mentioned earlier, Monday we will have our Patreon live stream previewing the Survivor finale. So be sure to check that out. And thank you to all our patrons for your support. We'll see you here next time.